Good evening everybody. So what's been happening on Nick's Veggie Patch since my last video update? Well, lots has been happening. I've made a completely brand new compost bin using some wooden pallets that I got for free. So I got rid of the old one because it was falling to pieces. I've made a completely new one and completely lined it, so I will show you the results of that coming up. We've done some weeding of a few beds to get ready for planting out of cabbages and stuff for next year's Hungry Gap. So there's lots been going on, so without further ado I'll take you around and show you what's been happening. Right guys, I've decided that my compost bin is coming to its end on its last legs. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a new compost bin. So eventually I'll take all these old ones out, take them up the council tip, and fingers crossed I'll put a new one up here. So what I've got is I've got a pallet there, and I'm going to try and take all the slats off of it, both sides. And then what I'm going to do is I found a load of pallets at my local patio centre, and I'm going to join 4 of them together and make the compost bin. And I'm going to put the slats here in the gaps to completely fill them in, and then this time I think I'm going to line all the inside of the compost bin to stop the weeds from coming up. So yeah, that's what I'm going to do with those 4 there. I'm going to have a council tip run possibly in a week. I don't know whether it's going to be built today, but I'm going to start the process at least. But taking these slats off of this pallet here and using them to fill in the gaps there, and hopefully I'll have a new compost bin. But when I take this one out, I'll also at the same time be removing all the weeds, a lot of vineweed. Yeah, hopefully it won't all fall out onto the pathway, but we'll just have to see how it goes. Good evening. I've started the process of putting my new compost bin together. So I've put slats in the gaps of the pallets that I've found that I think were good enough to make my new compost bin. Nailed them in, and then what I've done here, as you can see, I've put black sheeting over the top. It's the black cloth to stop the weeds from coming through. And then what I've done, you can see it on the bottom there is a piece of wood, pallet piece of wood. I've nailed that to the bottom, so eventually I'll show you it better on here guys. Eventually, once I've got all 4 sides covered and ready, these here will be the bottom of my pallet, of my compost bin, sorry. And what that will do, hopefully that will stop the weeds from coming up here along with the black cloth, and hopefully stop the weeds from getting in. Whether it stops the weeds actually in the compost bin, I won't be sure until it's all ready and made up. But yeah, so I've got 2 sides done so far. I'm going to finish the others over the weekend. I've got 2 left to do. It's obviously getting dark now, a bit late to be hammering and sawing, but as you can see, it's almost there guys, or the process of starting, and I'll show you what the end result looks like over the weekend. Okay, since I last spoke to you guys or did a video for you guys, as you can see, I've done a brand new compost bin. And what I've done with the compost bin is I've lined it on the inside, and I've lined it with this black felt stuff that stops the weeds from coming up. But what I did is on the tops here, as you can see here, I've put a wooden plank, nailed it down, flipped it over so it's on the underneath. That will hopefully help stop the weeds from coming up. Then I've joined the pieces together using these bendy sort of bendy pieces of metal. I've joined them together. So yeah, we've got a new compost bin. I've put most of the compost that came out of the bin in and around the plot on some of the raised beds, and then what was left I've also put some just here. So as you can see, I've made full use of the compost. That was just to raise that sort of area up a little bit, but yeah, as you can see, we've made a brand new compost bin. I'm really happy with it. Got rid of the old one. Now I can start filling it up with more lovely bits and pieces to make some more compost. Okay, so I've potted on 3 spring cabbages that I sowed that have come up. They're looking okay, so I've potted them on hopefully to get slightly bigger growth out of them. Out of the few seeds that I did sow, only 3 have come up, so we'll see how they go, and hopefully within a couple of weeks they'll be slightly bigger and ready to be planted in the ground. So I'm going to crack on because I've got some other stuff to sow. I've got some Wheeler's cabbages, you can see quite a lot there, which I'm really happy about. So I'm going to pot some of them on, and hopefully within a couple of weeks they'll also be ready to go out into the ground. So I'll come back to you guys in a short while when I start potting them on. Okay, so I've got my pots here that I'm going to be putting my seedlings into, and I'm just going to fill them with this compost that I've sieved through my compost sieve that I've got. I'm going to fill it pretty much right up to the top, and then sort of press it down. Now what I'm going to do beforehand is I'm going to give it a bit of a water, let the water soak through to the compost, and then using my dabber I'm going to make my hole to plant my seedling in, enough just for the roots to go down, and then I'm going to prise out my seedlings here. As you can see, they're nicely rooted in. I mean, that you could technically plonk straight into your raised bed, but mine, some of my raised beds are not ready at the moment, so I'm just going to pop this on just to allow them to get bigger. As you can see there, potted them on. The compost is moist, so I don't need to add any more water to that, and I'm just going to put that onto one of my shelves and allow it to grow a little bit more until I can prepare my raised bed for the Wheeler's cabbage to go into. And there, that is a variety. Wheeler's is a variety where they will be ready hopefully around about February, March time, so you'll have cabbage to fill the hungry gap. So I'm going to plonk that onto my shelf, and I'm going to carry on potting a few more on. So just to show you one more before I crack on. So as you can see, my finely sieved compost, or apart from a little bit, I go right up to the top, give it a good pat down, and then good drink of water, allowing that to soak through. While that's soaking through, I shall prize out my seedlings from the cell tray. As you can see, looking really healthy. Using my big dobber here. Plunk them in. If you have to press them down gently, press the soil in and around them. And there we have it, another Wheeler's cabbage seedling potted on. So I'm going to crack on, guys, and I'll show you the finished article in a bit. Okay, so just to show you what I've potted on this morning, I've done the 3 spring cabbages, I've done the Wheeler's cabbage, and I've also done some all year round cauliflower. Now, I haven't done all of the Wheeler's cabbage, and I haven't done all of the all year round cauliflower, because I've got a friend who would like some, so I've saved them some. I'll take them to them this afternoon, and then they can pot some cabbages and some cauliflowers on. They've got a little raised bed in their garden, and hopefully they'll be able to get some. But there we go, guys. A few items ready for the hungry gap next year, potted on and ready to go. Okay, so I'm stood at some of the raised beds that have had most of the main crops this year. As you can see, this raised bed here with the 2 blue pieces of tubing coming out of it, that had the sweet corn. We got a lot of sweet corn this year. I only planted 1 lot this year, but yeah, we harvested them last week and we had a very good crop. There were only a couple that we lost. So what we've done is we've taken them home, given a few to family and friends, and then the rest we've put straight into the freezer to have during the winter months. But yeah, I was really happy with the sweet corn. I'm going to be growing 2 lots next year, so I'm going to have 2 different varieties, one in this raised bed here, and then probably another one in maybe one of those raised beds at the back there. But yeah, really happy with what we have with the sweet corn. At the moment, as you can see here, I've got some winter squash. They are looking really, really good, and I'm going to start to harvest them in the next couple of days. There's loads of things that we can make with them: soups, pies. A couple have been earmarked for my family, but yeah, they're really good, coming up nicely. But as I said, they were ready for the winter, so really happy with those ones. Also in this raised bed, which has had the courgettes in, still getting some. They've turned obviously to marrows now, some of them, but not too worried, because there are quite a few recipes that you can use the marrow with. I know a very good recipe that Nigel Slater does. He's a cookery writer for The Observer, and he takes a marrow, basically cuts off the ends, cuts them into round circular discs, cores out the middle, then he puts it onto a baking tray with some baking paper, and then he fills them up with tomato, a sprinkling of olive oil, bakes them in the oven, and then just before they're done, he takes them out and he crumbles some feta over the top. It's supposed to be a really good recipe. Never made it myself, but I saw it, and he's basically giving homage to the marrow, because people don't use the marrow a hell of a lot in dishes. So yeah, that's one thing you can do with a marrow. I think that was on Nigel Slater's Simple Suppers. But yeah, so as I say, we've had some good courgettes, and some of them I've let go and turned into marrows. Over here, as you can see, we're still picking chard. Really happy. We've had the rainbow chard and the white chard and the bright lights chard. So yeah, really happy with what's going on in this raised bed. As I said, we're still picking from it. Over here we've got butternut squash. I'll just see if I can get there to show you one of them, as they're looking really, really good. We took the biggest one out yesterday, but as you can see, just there, lovely butternut squash. I think I've got a couple more. There's a couple in the corner there. So yeah, really happy with that. Also, my giant leeks were almost ready to come out and be harvested. They'll get chopped up and they'll get put into the freezer. So yeah, there's lots going on here. Also, just jump over the raised bed. We've had lots of runner beans. I only did one lot this year, not as many as I normally do, but yeah, we're still picking the runner beans. So generally, the crops that we've had this year, I'm really happy with, and hopefully we'll get more wonderful crops next year. Also, I don't know if you can see, excuse me, we're still picking the cavallonero, the kale. Absolutely wonderful vegetable, or brassica that, and I got that from a seed company called DT Brown's. But yeah, really good. It's really nice if you roast that in the oven with a bit of salt, bit of paprika and a bit of olive oil and a little bit of garlic salt. But yeah, lots of good crops. As I said, I had lots of potatoes this year, but as you can see, those raised beds now are ready for next year. Lots of onions, and I've still got lots of fabulous rhubarb. Okay, I'm stood next to a couple of the raised beds that have been weeded. I've had my wife down here for a couple of days. She helped me build my new compost bin, and she also weeded some of the raised beds. So what we're going to do, we're going to get ready to close these raised beds down. I'm going to cover them with mulch, the big bag that I've showed you in previous videos. Cover them over with mulch, and then I'm going to put black sheeting over them, stop the weeds from coming up, and get them ready for next year. There will be a couple of raised beds that I will earmark to put my Wheeler's cabbage and my spring cabbage in. Hopefully they'll grow. I'll protect them from the frosts. Hopefully we'll have cabbages for next year to fill the hungry gap. But yeah, there's a few raised beds, you know, that are ready now to be closed down. I'll put the black sheeting over. Same with this raised bed. I will put the mulch over it and then cover it over with black sheeting. I'm going to leave the netting on there. I'm not going to take the netting off this time. As you can see, these raised beds, they are ready to go. I don't think I'm going to put black covering over these ones because I don't very rarely get many weeds come up through these ones here. As you can see there, we've sorted the strawberry red, so that's all ready to go. The rhubarb is looking good. We've had a bit of a tidy up in the rhubarb bin, and we've still got rhubarb to pick. It'd also be a question of clearing the pots around here, bringing out the lawnmower again and the strimmer and working the magic. But generally it's not looking too bad here on the plots. But I will show you the final two raised beds that are going to be done, and then I think I will make my way home. This is just a mini little video for this week, and then hopefully I'll do my main one at the weekend. So I'll take you over to the final two raised beds that have just got to be finished off. So as you can see, guys, it's just these two raised beds to finish off now. That one had broccoli in it, or autumn calabrese, but where I wasn't well in July and the first part of August, I couldn't really pick it, so it went to seed. So that is the main raised bed that's got to be cleared out. This raised bed at the moment has got green waste ready to go up to the local recycling centre. It's also got my big bag of mulch, but that big bag of mulch is going to be used to be put on the rest of the raised beds. Then I will use that bag as a green recycling bag to take up to the council recycling centre. The wife's also trimmed back the flower bed, or our wild flower bed, yesterday. Gave it a trim back. As I said, any of the compost that was left in the old compost bin, we took it out and levelled up in front of the raised beds here. But as I said, it's looking really good here. I'm going to need a new sign because I broke my sign the other day. It was obviously getting a bit old, so yeah, I need a new sign to weather. But generally, we're looking really good on the plots here. Okay guys, that's about it. I've shown you what's been happening on Nick's veggie patch. So I'm going to go home now because it's getting too dark to carry on filming. I'm going to see about uploading this video. But as you can see, lots have been happening on the plot. There's still lots to do and get ready for next year. So starting to close down the plot. Also, what I didn't say in the video, and I'll say it now, I will be planting my garlic in October. I've got lots of garlic ready to be planted, and I've got my raised beds ready for that. It may only be the one raised bed this time around, because I've only got the one variety of garlic. I'm hoping for a delivery of garlic that I've got ordered to come through the post. It hasn't arrived yet. If it does arrive, then there'll be two raised beds full of garlic. But that's it now, guys. I'm going to go home. I hope you enjoyed this video. As always, if you do like it, hit the thumb button to save your video to your favourites. If you've just found my channel and you're just tuning in and you like what you see, please hit the subscribe button. Again, thanks to all my subscribers. But that's it. Hopefully I'll see you at the weekend for another episode of Nick's Veggie Patch. As always, guys, stay safe, and I'll see you hopefully over the weekend. Bye for now. This is a massive shout out to all my YouTube friends. Thanks for watching and subscribing. To see more from Nick's Veggie Patch, hit the thumb button at the bottom of the page to save video to favourites, and hit the button in the bottom right hand corner to subscribe to my channel. Thanks for watching.